cat's out of the bag? Guess what? I'm going to RHS Chelsea again this year. The RHS have asked me to mentor Emma Tipping, a young designer. Emma Tipping has been doing gardens at, first of all, RHS Tatton Flower Show in the Young Designer category, and then last year she did a balcony garden at Chelsea Flower Show, achieving a gold medal. This year she's been given the honour of doing the feature garden around the monument inside the floral pavilion. The garden is called A Day on the Nursery, Insights into Life as a Grower, and is sponsored by the Royal Horticultural Society and UBS. Chelsea is near the end of May, and before this I am going to be releasing some preview videos to explain about this exhibit. But first of all, let's chat to Emma herself. We're here on the nursery, sitting amongst the show plants that we usually would take to Chelsea Flower Show. This is an area where show plants are grown, nurtured and looked after. So Emma, when you were first approached by the RHS, probably by email, a bit like me, what were your first thoughts about the ask to do the monument display, or monument feature, should I say, at Chelsea Flower Show?
I think my first thought was, that's really cool. I'd never thought about doing anything like that before. Second thought, really daunting. Because like you said, we got the email initially. It didn't contain that much information, so I didn't know very much about it, other than that it was like quite a big project, a feature garden at Chelsea.
Had you ever seen the monument feature before? So were you aware of how large it actually was?
I'd seen it last year at Chelsea, but because it was my first year there and I was exhibiting for the first time, I think I was a little bit too, I hadn't really paid as much attention to it as I would have otherwise. I remember thinking the planting looked beautiful and enjoying walking around the space, but that was about as much as I took in, I think.
Can you just explain in a nutshell what the brief is? So what the display is meant to be depicting?
You're meant to feel like you're in a nursery, in a small plant nursery. It should feel quite homegrown, like a nice small family nursery. You'll get an idea of the equipment used, the materials that may be used on a nursery. It should give you that sort of inclusive feel of walking around and looking at the plants.
How did you get into horticulture to start off with? Because I'm assuming that you weren't in horticulture when you first trained. So what made you move from your job you were in to going into horticulture, and then actually deciding perhaps no, you wanted to be in garden design?
I think like a lot of people, I worked in an office in the city, and it didn't take me too long to realise that that wasn't really the place that I wanted to work for a long time. But I was really fortunate that I worked in Islington, where there's loads of outdoor spaces, and that's where I tended to gravitate towards. So from there I kind of thought, well, if I'm going to do something else, what do I want to do? And I'd done a lot of field work at uni and things like that, so I thought being outside gardening would be something that would suit me quite well. And I kind of had an inkling that I wanted to do something creative eventually, but I wanted to get like a good background in gardening and really enjoyed it when I started.
Yeah, so where did you work when you first started?
So I began working at a hotel,
Right.
on the grounds of a hotel. I was part of a team of about 14, I think, overall. And yeah, worked my way through different sections. I worked in the kitchen garden, and I was looking after the formal gardens. So I got a nice overview and got to work in lots of different bits.
Yeah, so that gave you a really good grounding into what you needed to do. And then from that, was it then a stepping stone? Did you take a course to do your design work?
Not particularly. It was kind of it was touched on in the course that I'd done prior to becoming a gardener. But mainly I had applied to take part in RHS's Young Designer at Tatton Park, just as a sort of a punt. I had some ideas that I thought I'd just submit them. Worst case scenario, I just get feedback from it and I learn something. You know, it's a good opportunity to just try, isn't it? And then I got in, and so it sort of went from there. People say it's quite addictive to do shows, and I think there is something to that.
Yeah, I think it can be, and I think if you're on the design side, it can definitely be addictive. I think from a nursery point of view, yes, it starts off being addictive, then you realise it's part of your job, and how much do you want to carry on doing that side of it? So there are different ways of looking at it, because designer doing an outside garden is different from a nursery doing a display within the marquees. How do you think you're going to find it? Because obviously you have done Tatton, and you then did Chelsea last year doing a small balcony garden. How do you think you're going to find it moving into the marquee? It's a different area for growing.
Yeah, it feels slightly like foreign territory, the marquee, I think, because it's not something I've been a part of particularly in the past. But I'm really looking forward to it. I think it'll be nice. It's a good area for that feature to be in, because you're surrounded by the nurseries that are reflected in it. So I think the link is really nice. I think the main difference for me is going to be the scale, because it's such a huge feature. It's just multiple times the size of last year's balcony.
So well, just think of the raised beds as being, you know, one balcony, another balcony, another balcony.
In which case I've got about 16 balconies.
That's fine.
But yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I think new challenge is always exciting, isn't it? And
oh no, it's great. We've managed to get out to see all the different nurseries, and you've been here to us before to get an idea of how a nursery runs. Do you feel, having visited the different types of nursery, you've got a better feeling and understanding of how a nursery runs for you to be able to showcase a nursery with this feature? I think so.
I think what has stood out to me most is that all the different nurseries, because they have their own specialisms, have very unique ways of working. So it might involve different machinery, the plants are different in and of themselves, or different practices that they have to use. It's all quite varied. So it'll be nice it's really good that we got a chance to meet everyone and see that in person, I think, to be able to hopefully reflect that a little bit better. I think we've got such a range, haven't we, with herbs, with wildflower seed production, with vegetable seed production, and with the mushrooms. It's quite a varied lot to bring together and showcase. You are walking through a nursery from the beginning seedlings right the way through to mature, and to things which are going to flower to produce the seed. Yeah, what I do think is really nice about them all, though, is that they all, because they're such small nurseries and have that real family feel to them, are really passionate about what they're doing. Absolutely. So I think that's something that I'm really hoping we'll be able to reflect in the nursery feature, that sort of real care for the plants that are being grown. And I think that's what really ties them together. And they all do work well together. Wildflowers and herbs and the edibles, I think, will knit together nicely when they're in there. Oh, I think they will. I think the story is really great. Thank you very much for answering those questions and giving us a setting of what we are going to be looking at and what people can expect at Chelsea. And in the coming couple of weeks, up until the show actually opens, we will be putting out more videos all about the various nurseries that are going to be involved and partnered with us. Thank you very much for watching, and please do subscribe to the channel. If you want to watch another video of mine, YouTube thinks this one is perfect for you.